There comes a moment in every life when the lights go dim, when the map you followed no longer makes sense, when the goals you once chased feel empty. If you feel lost right now, that's not a failure. It's a wake-up call. You're not broken. You're being summoned. The question is, will you answer? For the next 14 days, forget motivation that fades. Forget comfort. Forget opinions. This is war, and the battlefield is your mind. Heaviness in your chest you can't explain. You go through the motions, fake the smiles, respond with "I'm fine." When deep down you know you're not. Stop. Stop lying to yourself. Stop trying to patch a bullet wound with a Band-Aid. Admit it. You're not fine. You feel lost. And here's the truth. Admitting that isn't weakness. It's power. Because the moment you admit where you are, you take the first real step toward change. Denial is comfortable, but it's also a trap. You cannot escape a prison you refuse to see. And too many people walk through life blindfolded, clinging to routines that are killing them slowly, silently. You don't have to be one of them. It all starts with brutal honesty, you see. Pretending you're okay when you're not is like standing in the middle of a burning house while telling everyone you just turned up the heat. It's self-destruction with a polite smile, and society rewards that. It teaches you to hide the pain, to cover the cracks, to suppress the scream building in your throat. But the strongest people aren't the ones who fake stability. They're the ones who say, "I'm not okay, but I won't stay this way." That one sentence separates the defeated from the determined. That one choice opens the door that leads out of the fog. If you feel lost right now, good. That means your soul is no longer content with pretending. That means there's a fire inside you demanding more. Listen to it. Don't run from the feeling. Use it. Let it become the raw material for your transformation. The person who's lost is not broken. They're just in the middle of becoming someone new. But becoming someone new requires a complete breakdown of who you were. And that breakdown often feels like confusion, fear, uncertainty. So stop trying to numb it. Let it burn. Burn through the lies you've told yourself. Burn through the identity that was built on survival instead of purpose, because buried beneath all of that pain is your real power. But you will never access it until you drop the mask. Drop it. Right now. Say the words out loud if you need to. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I want, but I'm done pretending. That's not weakness. That's courage. And courage is the foundation of every transformation. When you tell yourself the truth, you unlock clarity. It doesn't come all at once, and it won't be easy. But it will be real, and real will always beat fake, even when it hurts. Because authenticity builds direction. Think of it like this. If you're driving and you realize you're lost, what's the first thing you do? You stop. You check the map. You admit you're not where you thought you were. That's exactly what you have to do with your life. Pull over. Look around. Acknowledge that this isn't the road you were meant to take. And then start turning the wheel. Slowly, maybe, but intentionally. Direction doesn't come from hustle. It comes from alignment. You don't need to run faster. You need to realign yourself with your truth. But don't mistake this moment for defeat. Feeling lost is not a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that you've outgrown your current environment. It's a signal from your soul that you're ready to rise, that the life you've been tolerating is no longer acceptable, that the stories you've been repeating no longer serve you, that the version of you who fit in the past cannot lead you to the future. So you have a choice. Keep pretending or start rebuilding. There is no in-between. And rebuilding starts with a demolition, a tearing down of illusions, a facing of fears, a relentless refusal to lie to yourself ever again. This is your moment, right here, right now. The turning point begins the second you stop saying "I'm fine" and start saying "I need more." More truth, more direction, more purpose. You don't need to have all the answers today. You just need to stop living in the lie. The rest will follow, step by step, day by day. Pain will turn into fuel. Doubt will turn into discipline. Lost will turn into legacy. But it all begins with that first declaration, that quiet yet unshakable decision to no longer run from what's real, because once you admit you're not fine, you've taken control. You've stopped drifting and started deciding, and decision is the spark that turns chaos into creation. The world may try to keep you silent, may try to convince you to numb the pain, to fake the smile, to keep walking in the wrong direction because that's what people do. But you are not people. You are not average. You are not meant to stay lost. You are meant to rise. You are meant to lead yourself out of the fog and into the fire that will forge a new version of you. Stronger, clearer, unshakable. This moment right here is where everything begins. Not when you figure it all out, not when life gets easier, but when you stop lying and start living. When you say, I'm not okay, but I'm not staying here. When you say, I feel lost, but I will not be defined by it. When you look in the mirror and speak to the storm inside you, not with fear, but with command. This is your line in the sand. Draw it. Step over it. Don't speak another lie to yourself ever again. Because once you do that, you're not lost. You're waking up. And that is where everything changes. The world is loud, and that noise is killing your clarity. Every ping, every scroll, every distraction, it's not harmless. It's theft. It's robbing you of your focus, your direction, your identity. If you feel lost right now, there's a reason. You've been buried under noise that doesn't belong to you. Constant opinions, endless comparisons, useless information. You don't even hear your own voice anymore. And that's the problem. Because the answers you're chasing don't live out there. They live in here. But you'll never hear them until you create silence. Until you cut the noise, step back from the chaos, and sit in stillness, not once, not for a few minutes, but with discipline, with intention, with a ruthless commitment to hear yourself again, because silence isn't empty. It's full of truth. And that's why most people avoid it. It's easier to be distracted than to face your own thoughts. It's more comfortable to scroll endlessly than to ask the hard questions. But comfort is a liar. Comfort will trap you in confusion. It will keep you stuck in a loop of surface-level stimulation, never deep enough to spark direction. And if you stay in that loop, you'll wake up one day and wonder how you became a stranger to your own life. That's not living. That's drifting. And the only way to break free is to get quiet. You need space to remember who you are. You need stillness to reconnect with what matters. Cut the noise. All of it. Turn off the phone. Log out. Get away from people who talk but say nothing. Get away from content that entertains but never elevates. Shut it all down. Not permanently, but long enough to clean your inner environment, because you cannot plant purpose in polluted soil. You cannot find your path while everyone else is yelling at you to walk theirs. Your mind has become a crowded room where your own voice gets drowned out. So clear it. Declutter your thoughts. Strip away the noise until all that's left is you. Just you and the silence. That's where it starts at first. The stillness will feel uncomfortable. It will feel like something's missing. But that's only because you're addicted to distraction. You've conditioned yourself to avoid reflection. But in that silence, something powerful happens. The fog starts to lift. You begin to hear things you've buried. Fears, desires, truths. You begin to feel what you've been numbing. It's not weakness. It's awakening. And if you can sit with it, if you can face it, then you can rise from it. You don't need another video, another motivational quote, another podcast. You need to hear your own thoughts. You need to answer your own questions. No one else can do that for you, and when you do this, when you truly cut the noise, you'll begin to notice a shift. Subtle at first. The pressure eases, your breathing slows. The war inside your head begins to quiet, because you're no longer running, you're sitting. Present, grounded, real. And from that stillness, clarity begins to form, not all at once, but in pieces. A thought here, a realization there, a memory that resurfaces, a truth that hits you in the chest. You'll begin to remember what you care about, what matters, what you want. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And that whisper gets louder each day you choose silence over distraction. This isn't a one-time escape. It's a daily decision. A disciplined ritual. For 14 days, give yourself permission to unplug from the noise and plug into yourself. Wake up and sit in silence before the world has a chance to program you. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself real questions. Write down the answers that come. Not the ones that sound good, but the ones that feel real. Then listen. Don't rush, don't judge, just listen. The truth isn't hidden. It's just been smothered. You have to clear space for it to rise. The world wants you reactive. It profits from your confusion. It monetizes your attention. But clarity is the rebellion. Stillness is the weapon. And every moment you choose silence, you take your power back. You stop being a pawn in someone else's system and start becoming the architect of your own mind. You stop consuming what numbs and start cultivating what sharpens. You stop running from yourself and start returning home. That's the power of silence. It's not emptiness. It's expansion. It's not escape. It's excavation, because inside you, beneath the static, the doubts, the noise, there is a knowing, a deep, unshakable knowing of who you are and what you're here for. It's been there the whole time, waiting, and the only reason you haven't heard it is because you've been tuned into everything but yourself. So shift the frequency. Turn the volume down on the world and up on your soul. Cut the noise, sit in the quiet. Let the answers rise, not from outside sources, but from your own intuition. That's where your power is. That's where your clarity is. That's where the next version of you is waiting to be born. And once you hear that voice again, once you connect with it, everything changes. Everything begins. The fastest way to stay lost is to keep waking up without direction. If you don't tell your mind where to go, it will wander aimlessly. And if your vision is blurry, your life will reflect it. That's why you must write your vision daily, even if it's broken, even if it makes no sense at first, even if your hand trembles as you write it. Because direction doesn't come from waiting, it comes from creation. You don't find your purpose by accident, you build it, word by word, line by line, day by day. Clarity is not something you're given, it's something you earn through repetition, through chaos, through the discomfort of writing what you barely believe in yet. But you do it anyway, because somewhere in that process the fog lifts and a new you begins to form. You don't write a vision because it's perfect. You write it because you need something to chase. You need something to aim at. The target may shift, and that's fine. What matters is that you're aiming. Life doesn't respond to passivity. It responds to precision. And if you never define what you want, you'll keep getting what you don't. You'll stay stuck in cycles of confusion. You'll keep repeating empty days. So take the pen, take the blank page, and write, no matter how unsure it feels. Because there is nothing more dangerous than an idle mind, and nothing more powerful than a focused one. When you write your vision, you give your mind a blueprint, and the brain is a builder. It starts working the moment you give it instruction. But most people give it nothing, just vague ideas, just passing dreams. That's not enough. You need clarity so sharp it cuts through doubt, and that kind of clarity is born through daily discipline. You don't need a perfect plan. You need movement. And writing your vision, even broken, even messy, is movement. It's forward motion in a world that trains you to sit still. You might not get it right on day one. You might write nonsense. You might contradict yourself. Good. That means the process is working. Because the wrong words must come out before the right ones, there's a reason this is hard. Your subconscious is cluttered. Years of noise, years of expectations, years of being told what to want. So when you sit down to write your own vision, it feels awkward. It feels fake. But that's because you're shedding the voices that don't belong to you. Keep going. Push through the resistance. Let it be ugly. Let it be raw. Because buried underneath the confusion is the real you. And that version of you has something to say, something powerful. But you won't hear it until you force it out of the dark and into the light of your own words. The moment you write your vision, something shifts. The world doesn't change, but you do. You begin to walk with more intent. You begin to see patterns. You start noticing what pulls you closer and what pulls you away. Life becomes a mirror, reflecting back what you've declared. And every time you rewrite that vision, you polish the reflection. You carve away what's false. You amplify what's true. You don't just write to feel good. You write to remind yourself who you are becoming. Because in the middle of chaos, direction is sanity, and nothing creates direction like a vision written in your own handwriting. Understand this. The first few versions of your vision won't be right. They're not supposed to be, because the process of writing is the process of thinking. And the process of thinking deeply is how you get to the truth. So don't wait for the perfect words, just write. And write again tomorrow. Keep refining, keep chiseling. That's how gold is formed, through pressure, through repetition, through fire. The fire of discomfort, the fire of self-confrontation. If you do this for 14 days straight, something will happen. The vision will become clearer. Your language will become stronger. You'll stop writing what sounds good and start writing what feels right. That's when you know it's working. You must make this a ritual. The world wants your attention. It wants you to wake up reactive. Don't let it. Take back the first few minutes of your day. Sit down, open the page, and speak to your future self. Ask questions, cast dreams, map out the emotions, the goals, the lifestyle. Where do you live? How do you move? Who do you help? What impact do you make? Describe it until you can feel it. Describe it until your current life starts to feel like the stranger. That is when you're getting close. When the gap between who you are and who you want to become becomes too painful to ignore. This is not about writing a fantasy. It's about constructing identity. Every word is a brick. Every sentence is a decision. What you write, you begin to believe. What you believe, you begin to live. And if you don't write it, you'll keep defaulting to old scripts. Scripts written by your fears, your past, your environment. Break that cycle. Grab the pen. You've been following someone else's blueprint for too long. It's time to draft your own. There is no excuse not to start. You don't need a journal. You don't need a program. You need a commitment. Just you and a piece of paper every morning creating something that belongs to you. At first it may feel small, insignificant. But over time, this one act of writing becomes your anchor. It becomes your weapon against confusion, your tool against doubt. It becomes your map out of the wilderness. And once you see how powerful that map becomes, you'll never start another day without it again. You're not waiting to become the person you want to be. You're becoming them the moment you act like them. Even if it feels fake, even if it feels awkward, even if your mind screams, "Who do you think you are?" That voice is fear, not truth. And it's lying to you. You don't transform by waiting. You transform by stepping into the role before you feel ready. Because feelings follow action. Identity follows decision. And if you keep acting like who you've always been, you'll keep living the same life. Nothing changes until you change your standard, your behavior, your posture, your language. You start embodying the future version of you, not someday, but now. You speak their words. You move with their intensity. You make decisions from their mindset. That's how evolution begins. The world will tell you to wait until you feel confident, until you figure it all out. That's a trap. Confidence isn't the prerequisite, it's the result. It's what shows up after consistent action, not before. Waiting to feel ready is the fastest way to stay stuck. And if you think the future version of you is going to arrive and magically rescue your life, you're dreaming. That version of you is already inside you, dormant, untrained, untested. It's your job to bring them forward, to act like them until you become them, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. That discomfort is the edge of growth. It's the proof that you're moving beyond who you were. If you want to be disciplined, act disciplined. If you want to be powerful, act powerful. If you want to be focused, act like focus is all you've ever known. You don't earn a new identity by thinking. You earn it through behavior. And yes, at first, it might feel fake. But so did every skill you've ever learned. So did every role you've ever stepped into. Think about the first time you tried anything meaningful. It felt foreign, unfamiliar, but you didn't stop. You practiced until it became real. The same rule applies here. You practice being that next-level version of yourself until it becomes automatic, until the world stops questioning it. Until you stop questioning it, most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they refuse to let go of who they used to be. They stay loyal to their limitations. They protect their insecurities. They identify with their excuses more than their potential. Don't be one of them. Burn the script of your old story. Replace it with the actions of the future. If that version of you would wake up early, then get up. If they'd speak with clarity, then speak. If they'd move with purpose, then move. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for motivation. Command it from yourself. Demand it with your actions. You must understand something. Identity is not fixed. It's not something you were born with. It's something you're building every single day. Every action is a vote for the person you want to be. And every time you take action aligned with that future, you reinforce that identity. You're rewiring your brain. You're reshaping your self-image. You're proving to yourself that you are not defined by your past. You are created by your decisions. So ask yourself right now, how would that version of me think, speak, walk, show up? And then do that. Not tomorrow, now. Even if your hands shake. Even if your voice cracks. Even if nobody believes it yet. You do it until they have no choice. And here's the truth. Acting like the future, you will scare people. It will trigger them. It will make them uncomfortable because your growth exposes their stagnation. But that's not your problem. You're not here to make others feel safe in their smallness. You're here to become everything you were built to be. And that means outgrowing environments. It means separating from habits that no longer match your identity. It means being misunderstood. It means walking alone at times. That's the price. But on the other side is power and peace and alignment. You can't fake alignment. You feel it. And you earn it through daily, deliberate action. This isn't about pretending. It's about practicing. There's a difference. Pretending is acting for approval. Practicing is acting for mastery. You're not faking success. You're training for it. You're not imitating greatness. You're stepping into it. And the more you practice, the less foreign it feels. Until one day you wake up and realize you don't have to act like them anymore. You are them. And that's the moment you break through. But none of that happens without faith in the beginning. Faith that even though it feels awkward, it's working. Faith that repetition will turn unfamiliar into second nature. Faith that your future self is watching every move you make and waiting to meet you halfway. You don't get there by talking, you get there by doing every single day, with intensity, with commitment, with the unshakable belief that you are not defined by what is, you are defined by what you are becoming. And becoming begins with action. Act like the person you want to become, especially when it feels fake. That's how you make it real, master one small task each day. Because consistency beats intensity every time. The world is obsessed with extremes. Go all in. Hustle hard. Burn the candle at both ends. But that intensity fades. It crashes. It burns out. What builds power, real power, is doing one thing well every single day. It's not glamorous. It won't go viral. But it will change you, slowly, permanently. Because greatness isn't built in bursts. It's built in repetition. It's built in the quiet, in the discipline of showing up for the task that looks small to the world but sharpens everything inside you. You don't need to conquer everything today. You just need to win the next action. You don't need to become the best version of yourself overnight. You just need to keep a promise to yourself today. That's it. One small task, done with excellence, done with focus, done with intention, and then repeat again and again. That's the formula no one talks about. Because it's not sexy, it's not dramatic, but it works. The people who rise are the ones who can be trusted with the simple things. The ones who don't get bored with the basics. The ones who build the foundation brick by brick while everyone else is looking for shortcuts. Mastery starts with maintenance. You want confidence? Keep showing up. You want clarity? Keep writing. You want momentum? Keep moving forward. The results will come because small wins compound. They build identity. They build rhythm. They train the mind to follow through even when motivation dies. And that's the key. Consistency survives when motivation disappears. Intensity relies on feeling inspired. Consistency relies on principle. One lasts. The other doesn't. It's not about how fast you move. It's about how long you can stay in motion. Anyone can sprint for a day. That's not impressive. What's impressive is showing up when no one's watching. Doing the thing no matter what. That's the difference between average and unstoppable. If you want to separate yourself, stop chasing speed and start chasing standards. And the standard you hold to one small task each day will bleed into everything else. If you're sloppy with the small, you'll be sloppy with the big. But if you train precision in the small, you'll carry power into the large. Pick one task, something simple. something manageable. But do it with obsession. Do it like it matters, because it does. If you're writing, write with depth. If you're learning, learn with focus. If you're training, train with intent. Don't half-do anything. Don't treat it like a throwaway. That's where character is built, in the invisible moments, in the choices that look like they don't matter. But they do, because they form your system, and your system is stronger than your willpower. So build a system of small, non-negotiable wins. Build a life that doesn't need drama to grow. Build discipline that doesn't need noise to be effective. The truth is, your future doesn't care how excited you are. It cares how consistent you are. Energy fades, hype dies, but consistency builds compound interest in your habits, in your results, in your self-respect. You want to feel better about yourself? Start keeping your word to yourself. Start completing what you start, not in massive waves, but in steady steps. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. That's how you prove you're serious, not to the world, but to the part of you that's been quietly waiting for real change. Consistency requires patience. It's not about instant gratification. It's about long-term transformation. You may not see results tomorrow. That's fine. You don't water a seed and expect a tree the next day. You water it because you know what it's capable of becoming. Your daily actions are seeds. Plant them with care. Nurture them with repetition. And stop digging them up every time doubt creeps in. Trust the process. Trust the compound effect. What looks small now becomes unstoppable later. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You will stumble. You will miss a day. Don't quit. Pick it back up. Continue. Consistency is not broken by a missed step. It's broken by quitting altogether. The key is to shorten the gap between the fall and the rise. Get back to your task. Recommit. Refocus. Because the real win is not in never missing. The real win is in always returning. That's resilience. That's strength. That's growth. Every day you are training yourself to either rise or retreat. There is no neutral. You are either casting votes for discipline or for delay, and each vote counts. Each small task completed is a silent victory. No applause, no spotlight. Just you proving to yourself that you're in control now, that you've decided to take the slow path to something permanent, rather than the fast path to nothing at all. One task, one decision, one line drawn in the sand. That's where the shift begins. That's where the drift ends. You don't need to master the world. Just master the next 30 minutes, and then do it again tomorrow. Greatness is not found in intensity. It's forged in consistency. And if you do this, if you truly commit to mastering one small task a day, then there's nothing that can stop your rise. Because the person who moves with intention every single day becomes unstoppable over time. Destroy one excuse daily, because excuses are the language of the lost. They're the lullabies the weak sing to themselves to sleepwalk through life. They sound logical, they sound reasonable, but they are prisons built from fear. The moment you speak an excuse, you surrender your power. You trade progress for comfort. You hand your future to weakness. If you ever want to feel alive again, start killing your excuses one by one. Burn them, break them, call them out by name. Because as long as they live in your mind, your potential stays dead. Every day you give in to an excuse, you give up a piece of your future. You are not confused. You are not lost. You are making room for your lies. The lie that says you're too tired. The lie that says you're not ready. The lie that says other people have it easier. Stop romanticizing the struggle and start building the solution. You're not a victim of time, talent, or luck. You're a victim of your own rationalizations. And those rationalizations are poison. They're seductive. They feel safe. They feel right. But they're lies. And the only way to reclaim your mind is to destroy them with truth, with action, with fire. One at a time. You don't eliminate excuses by thinking about them. You eliminate them by proving them wrong. You say you don't have time, wake up an hour earlier. You say you're not confident, show up scared until confidence shows up. You say you've failed before. Good. Then you've already learned what not to do. Every excuse can be countered. Every excuse has a weak underbelly. You just have to have the courage to face it, to look it in the eye and refuse to be hypnotized by it one more day. Because make no mistake, excuses hypnotize you. They wrap you in comfort while quietly draining your potential. The difference between those who win and those who wither isn't intelligence. It isn't talent. It's how fast they destroy the excuses that show up in their minds. Because they do show up. For everyone, even the greats. But champions kill them before they multiply. They don't negotiate with weakness. They don't entertain their limitations. They act fast, relentlessly. Because they know that momentum is power and excuses are friction. The more you hesitate, the more excuses grow. And they don't just grow, they evolve. They become justifications, beliefs, identities. And once an excuse becomes part of your identity, you're in chains. If you want your life to change, you need to adopt this mindset. No excuse survives today. Every morning you wake up and ask, what lie am I telling myself today? What story am I hiding behind? And then you crush it. You do the thing anyway. You break the pattern. That's how you reclaim your strength. You don't wait for the fear to disappear. You walk through it. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You move in chaos. That's what warriors do. And make no mistake, you are at war every day. A war between your vision and your excuse. You better pick a side. Excuses are clever. They don't scream. They whisper. They wrap themselves in logic. They wear masks of self-care, realism, patience. But deep down they are fear in costume. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment. And if you don't confront them, they own you. They run your days. They write your story. And that story becomes your life. Do not let a lie write your life. Rewrite the script. Replace every excuse with a challenge. Instead of saying, I can't, say, how can I? Instead of saying, I don't know how, say, I'll learn. That's power. That's freedom. That's how the lost find their way again. When you destroy one excuse daily, you build a habit of dominance. You teach your mind that you are in charge now. That circumstances do not define you. Decisions do. You don't wait to feel ready. You choose to be ready. You don't wait for motivation. You build systems that don't need it. That shift, mental ownership, is the key to everything. Because as long as you blame, you're stuck. But the moment you take full responsibility, the game changes. That's when life bends to your will. You have to become ruthless with your excuses. Hunt them, track them, dismantle them. Be honest with yourself. Brutally honest. Why aren't you taking the step? What are you really afraid of? What are you avoiding? Get to the root. Dig until the lie surfaces, and then kill it with action, not talk. Not another plan, not another self-help video. Action. The simplest, rawest, most uncomfortable step. That's the medicine. That's the cure. That's what builds strength that lasts. The world is full of people who talk big but live small. Don't be one of them. Don't let your mind become a graveyard of intentions buried under excuses. You were born with something rare inside you, but it dies if you feed it fear. Every time you destroy an excuse, you wake it back up. You give it breath. You remind yourself who you were before you started believing the world's noise. You return to your true power, not the fake kind, not the loud kind, the silent, unshakable kind that comes from living in alignment with your potential. So today you destroy one. Just one. You name it, you face it, you act anyway. Tomorrow, you do it again. And day by day, you remove the weight that's been keeping you on the ground. Until the excuses are gone. And all that's left is action, movement, fire, and the life that was always waiting on the other side of your fear. Feed your mind relentlessly, because you become what you hear. Every word you allow in, every message you absorb, every voice you let influence you is shaping your identity. Not someday, right now. Your beliefs are being carved by repetition. Your mindset is being molded by what you consume. And if you're not choosing your input with intention, you're being programmed by default. The world is loud. It's filled with doubt, distraction, weakness, and fear. If you don't protect your mental gates, that noise will become your voice. That fear will become your compass. That doubt will become your direction. And you will wonder why you're stuck when you've been feeding on poison. This is the truth. Most ignore your results don't start in your actions. They start in your thoughts. And your thoughts come from your inputs. If you listen to average, you become average. If you surround yourself with excuses, you become the kind of person who makes them. If all you hear is failure, fear, and limitation, you start living a life that reflects those themes. But when you start feeding your mind with strength, with vision, with certainty, something changes. You begin to believe again. You begin to rise, not because the world changed, but because your inner world did. And that inner world drives everything. You don't need more motivation. You need to clean up your mental diet, eliminate the garbage, cut off the negativity, replace every weak voice with a powerful one, replace every mindless distraction with a purposeful message. This isn't a once-a-week effort. This is daily. This is a discipline. You are programming your mind for power, for resilience, for action, and you don't get that by accident. You get that by relentless, obsessive input. You choose what you become by choosing what you hear. If you're serious about your future, you need to become a curator of your environment. You protect your body by watching what you eat. You protect your energy by managing your time. But if you don't protect your mind, everything else falls apart. Because your mind is the control center. It's where all decisions are made. And if your thoughts are infected, your actions will be too. You can't outwork a negative mindset. You can't hustle your way out of mental poverty. You have to feed yourself a new narrative, one that reinforces strength, one that destroys limitation, one that reminds you who you really are. Repetition is the language of the mind. What you hear repeatedly becomes what you expect, and what you expect becomes what you create. If you want to shift your reality, shift what you hear. Stop entertaining voices that speak weakness. Stop giving your time to conversations that drag you down. Start replacing them with voices that make you sharper, stronger, more focused. Podcasts, books, speeches, music, mantras, every piece of input matters. It's not entertainment. It's brain fuel, it's training, it's mental armor, and if you treat it that way, you'll notice something powerful. Your thoughts begin to align with your goals. The world will try to program you to play small. That's its default setting. You have to override that with intention. You override it every morning with what you listen to, what you read, what you watch. You set the tone. You decide what energy enters your space. This is why feeding your mind isn't optional. It's essential. Because every day you are either being built or broken by your inputs. Every day you are either rising or shrinking depending on what you've allowed into your system. It's not about perfection. It's about priority. Make your mindset your top priority, and your life will follow. Don't expect to grow if you're constantly surrounded by conversations of failure. Don't expect to rise if the voices in your ear are filled with jealousy, blame, or bitterness. You can't escape your environment if you keep dragging it with you mentally. It's not just about the people around you, it's about what they're saying. And if they're feeding you weakness, it's your job to replace it with strength. Be ruthless about it. You're not being rude. You're being responsible. Responsible for your own destiny. Responsible for your energy. Responsible for your future. Because no one else will be. Every legend, every giant, every person who transformed their life started with feeding their mind something different. They surrounded themselves with greatness. They played words of power until those words became beliefs. They listened to truth until that truth drowned out fear. They chose to become unshakable by making that choice daily. And that's your path, too. No more random noise. No more toxic voices. Only words that align with your highest version. Only messages that command growth. Because what you allow in is what you live out. This is how warriors are built. This is how leaders are trained. Not with noise, but with clarity. Not with comfort, but with challenge. You challenge yourself by feeding on excellence, not mediocrity. You push yourself forward with messages that stretch your vision, not shrink it. This is mental fitness. And just like physical fitness, it only works when it becomes your lifestyle. You don't feed your body once and expect results. You feed it daily, consistently, strategically. Do the same with your mind. And your life will evolve to match it. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is found in what you feed yourself daily. You want to change your life? Start there. Start with what you hear. Start with the words you consume when no one's watching. That's where transformation begins. That's where your next level lives, not in the big moves, but in the small, repeated choices to give your mind what it needs to grow, to dominate, to win. Feed it relentlessly. Starve the noise, and become exactly what you were meant to be, by design, not by accident. Look in the mirror nightly. Confront yourself with brutal honesty, not with filters, not with excuses, but with raw, unflinching truth. This isn't about shame. It's about power. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. And if you go to bed every night pretending you gave your best when you know you didn't, you're not fooling the world. You're destroying yourself. Progress is born in reflection. Growth begins the moment you stop running from who you really are and start demanding more from the person staring back at you. That mirror is not just glass. It's a battlefield. And every night you stand face to face with the only opponent that ever really mattered. This is where greatness is forged. Not in crowds, not in applause, but in solitude, in silence, in the private conversation between your soul and your standard. Most people avoid it. They keep themselves distracted. They flood their lives with noise, screens, and endless to-do lists to escape one thing, self-awareness. Because it hurts to see the gap between who you are and who you could be. It hurts to admit you let yourself down again. That you chose comfort over discipline, silence over action, fear over faith. But that pain is not your enemy. That pain is the pressure that forms diamonds. And if you face it nightly, you will evolve. Stop waiting for someone else to hold you accountable. Be the one who checks yourself. Be the one who keeps your promises, even when nobody's watching. Be the one who can't sleep easy when you've lied to yourself. That's how leaders are built. That's how warriors sharpen their edge. Not by living a perfect day, but by owning an imperfect one. You want clarity? Stand in front of the mirror and ask the hard questions. Did I execute on what I said I would do? Did I let fear dictate my decisions? Did I step up or did I step back? That nightly confrontation will tell you everything you need to know the mirror is a truth teller. It does not bend, it does not flatter, it reflects what is. And if you're brave enough to look, really look, you'll see the patterns that are holding you hostage. You'll see the excuses hiding in your tone, the weakness in your body language, the regret in your eyes. And from there, you can do something about it. You can redirect. You can recommit. You can get up and go again with fire. Because knowing what needs to change is the first strike of transformation. And no one else can give you that clarity, but you every night is a chance to reset your standard, to review your integrity, to recalibrate your direction, and not once a week, not once a month, every single night. Why? Because the days slip by fast. Excuses multiply in silence. You think you're only off track by an inch, but after a week, it becomes a mile. After a month, it becomes a lifestyle. But if you check in with yourself nightly, you catch the drift early. You realign before the gap becomes a chasm. And that consistency, that relentless self-audit, is how high performers stay lethal in a world that rewards comfort. This isn't about perfection. It's about precision. Precision in knowing where you fell short and precision in correcting it. The mirror doesn't lie, but it can be ignored. And the more you ignore it, the more numb you become. Until one day you don't even recognize yourself anymore. That's how lives fall apart. Not all at once, but piece by piece. You can't let that happen. You can't let another night pass without owning your truth. And if the truth hurts, good. That means there's something inside of you still willing to grow, still willing to rise, still unwilling to settle. There is no growth without confrontation. And the most powerful confrontation is with yourself. Because only you know how hard you really worked. Only you know the thoughts you entertained, the actions you avoided, the moments you gave in instead of pushing forward. You know, and if you pretend not to, you rob yourself of the one advantage that separates winners from wishers, self-awareness. Every night, look into your own eyes and ask, did I live like I meant it today? Not for social media, not for your boss, for you, for the version of you that knows exactly what you're capable of but is waiting for you to show up. If you make this a habit, your life will not be the same, not because every day is perfect, but because every day ends with truth. And truth is a weapon. It cuts away the lies, It burns through the fog. It exposes your weakness so you can replace it with strength. This is how you become unstoppable, not through luck, not through motivation, but through a system of accountability that never sleeps. You train your brain to expect honesty, to demand excellence, to reject anything less than full effort. And when that becomes your new baseline, mediocrity can no longer survive in your world. The world doesn't need more fake positivity. It needs more brutal honesty, more people willing to face themselves and do something about it, more people who say, I messed up, and fix it, not hide from it. That's courage. That's responsibility. That's the seed of transformation. Look in the mirror, not to admire yourself, but to challenge yourself. Not to avoid what's wrong, but to face it and change it. Make it your nightly ritual, no matter how tired you are, no matter how painful it is, because every time you look and tell the truth, you get stronger, you become more aligned, you get closer to becoming the person you were born to be.